Someone want to buy the company for $300 million.
And I've never been more depressed.
This is what I've been working my entire adult life for. I realize that it doesn't make me happy. They see that modeled in the LLM and the AI, and they're like, oh my God, like it's sentient. It has consciousness. It has emotions. All these like, because it's still 0.1% of what is a human.
If I give up this ambitious drive and if I stop and I debug, am I going to lose the thing that made me successful?
Your mom and your dad and whatever they did was like the vehicle, the mechanism by which this mind bug got installed. But the reason why it happened was because you wanted it that way.
It's Bard. Welcome to the Full Stack Podcast, guys. Today, we are talking to the founder of Simplero and a mind debugger who identifies the unconscious software bugs that cause high-performing founders to fragment, burnout, or self-sabotage. On the podcast today, Calvin Corelli. Good to see you, brother.
Hey, good to see you again, Ty. It's amazing and great to meet you, Mike. I'm pumped for this. Who knows where this conversation's going to go?
Oh, yeah. Ted, every once in a while, he goes, we got to have this guy who I interviewed somewhere else. I'm like, all right, he's making picks over here.
Well, Mike, you said you had questions, so I figured that'd be the start, because obviously, Calvin, you and I spoke before, did some research, shared that with Mike, and quite the pass. So, Mike, what piqued your interest first?
Well, one, it's the theme. And I want to ask about different points in your life, but the overall theme that I've just picked up from a glance is you have a background in coding.
Correct. And
a deep one. It started at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I still love coding. It's super fun. It's so fun.
And then, I've got, we'll jam on that. And then on top of that, you've gotten into more of the psychological aspects of decoding the individual, right?
Correct.
And it makes sense.
Rewriting the human operating system, the kernel that runs the show. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with it being 2026 and coding has never been more advanced, more easy. And I just spent a few hours with a tech founder last night, and he was running me through his tech stack and what he's doing. And it totally blew me away. And realize that a one-man show can do a lot. And so we're at this inflection point with AI where the only thing that could probably limit you is the ability to grok information and having agency. And there's coming from someone with your background in computer science and coding, watching what's happening technologically, while also keeping track of what's going on with the human being. What are you seeing happening in the next year? The next year, we're in the middle of this really big transformation. What do you think is happening for the individual, and what do you think is happening for technology?
It's a crazy time. Like, isn't it wild to be alive at this time? What a freaking show. And nobody knows what's going to happen. Is anybody going to have jobs in 3 years? Is everybody's going to be broke because nobody has any money? So even if you're really smart and really good at what you do, there's nobody to buy your shit. So what good is that, right? Like, we don't know. Like, I have a coffee shop. How can you replace? Well, I don't know. Like, of course you can replace a bunch of things with robots, but like, you're still going to, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm here for it, and I love it. So in terms of like, coding is so much fun these days. Because it's like when I got my first Tesla 4 or 5 years ago, and like you got on the highway and you put on the self-driving and you're like, whoa, like this thing is driving itself. And then you kind of just need to like give it some guidelines. Like, and of course now 5 years later, like self-driving is really like, last night I went to a restaurant in like a half an hour from here with a friend, and literally from like outside of my house, getting into the car, typing in the address, hit self-drive, and it got us like out of the driveway, out onto the road, up to the restaurant, parks itself right in front of the restaurant, like literally nothing. And the same way on the way back. So at this point, like coding with AI is like, here's what I want to do, like come up with some ideas. You have to give it a lot of guidance to get something good, because I don't want it to mess up my code base. It'll just like write a bunch of code that no human can read. I don't want that in my code base. I still want it to be something that humans can understand. Well, where is this going? I don't know. And how long? Like right now, it's super fun. Right now, it's super fun because like I got I can just have all these coders write. I just got to give them oversight, right? So it's a very different way of coding where I don't like the old way was like you're fully immersed and you're fully there. And now it's like tell it to do something, and then it's going to go off and do something. And so what do I do in the meantime? Well, I do something else, like whatever that is. And then I come back to it. So it's a much more like,
well, that's why you got 5 terminal windows open.
Right. Exactly. There's a lot more context switching, right? Than it used to be. So that's a very different way of working, but it's super fun. And it lets me do stuff that I would never been able to tackle before because it can just read through the code base. It can just read through APIs and just figure stuff out that I would never have the patience for as a CEO, especially, right? But then, yeah, what happens to humans? That's a great question, right? So I think I wrote my own sort of AI wrapper tool specifically for mind debugging and coaching that I use every day because as the AI gets to know us better and it knows my specific way of looking at life, well, it becomes a phenomenal sparring partner for thinking things through. So I think it has the potential to really liberate human power at scale, like what makes us uniquely human and make us better at that at an incredible like power that we didn't have before. But of course, like most people are going to use it like they use weed or whatever to just like numb out and be stupider, right? So that's the reality of most people's lives.
80% of the internet is porn.
I'm sure.
80% of the internet is porn. So like that's
100%.
The majority. Yeah. So like, what are people using AI for? There's
right. I'm sure like a bunch of it is going to be used.
There's a massive difference in being the top 80 percentile and the 1 percentile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm curious because you mentioned with having AI do all the code, but you wanted something for humans to read. We do know for whether if it's legal professionals, medical professionals, as good as AI has gotten, they still spot errors and they catch the mistakes. Mm-hmm. For somebody with as much experience in the coding world, what would you say was the time frame for where your oversight is not needed? Like, would you tell it to do a prompt, walk away, and then trust it completely? How long do you think until that can get to that point, if we ever get there?
Yeah, I don't know. And there was a post that went viral on X like 2 days ago saying basically we're already there. Like I haven't seen the evidence of that with what I'm using, which is like the latest models, like Opus 4.6, which is the one that was just released, and it's great. But for me, it still needs a ton of oversight. So I guess at some point it does. I think it's also a matter of like I think it was last week, someone wrote an entire C compiler all by AI. But the thing is like when it's very hard to reason about the code. So how do you know that this code does what it's supposed to do in every case, in every instance, right? With things that are really mission critical? It becomes very hard to reason about it if you can't actually read it as a human. So I don't know if we'll honestly ever get there, but we might, right? So it's like, do you trust the AI to fix its own problems? Like right now, it's still, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, good catch. That's much better. That's much smarter. I was like, why didn't you do that in the first place? Like, why didn't you need to say that, right? Like, and it becomes this yes machine. So I don't know that it'll happen. It might happen. I don't know, but I think it's definitely like it allows us to do more at a higher level of abstraction, right? That's been the progression of programming since forever. And I remember I don't remember this, but I saw this. One of my favorite follows on X is Eric Raymond, who was the guy who kind of coined open source. He wrote an article like way back when called "The Cathedral and the Bazaar," where he's saying, well, this is like all the other hype cycles. When people invented object-oriented programming back in the 80s, there is literally a cover on something Personal Computing magazine or something with a baby coding, because they were saying like coding is going to be so easy now, babies can do it. So it's like, I don't know, like this might be the one, I don't know, but it might also just be, more of the same hype cycle where it turns out actually there are things that humans are uniquely suited to that is still relevant in the world of coding. But then again, like from a lot of cases, it's like, who gives a shit? If it's close enough and gives me like close enough to the answer, that's good enough. Like that works for me. But I remember too, when open source started really becoming a thing in like the online web frameworks, and like, people would release. I remember Joel Spolsky was like one of the early guys, and he introduced this fog bugs or something, whatever. But they're like this idea that you could just install it on your own server, and we're like, well, who needs software now? Like anybody can just download the software and install it on their own server. Turns out people don't want to manage their own damn servers and databases and like all of that stuff, right? So we're fine to pay a monthly fee. My friends over at 37 Signals, David Heinemeier is an old friend of mine, and he's like, they have these like apps that you're free to download and install in your own server, or you can pay them $20 a month to run it, right? It's like, and most people are still going to want to pay you $20 a month because they don't want to bother. And I think it's the same with software. Yeah, any idiot can make software now, but do they really want to? Right?
Ooh,
yeah. Well, the other thing is like OpenClaw launched a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go on YouTube and you watch some videos, it sounds like it's, God's gift to all of us.
Yeah.
For solving all of our problems. And then
right.
I started setting one up, and then right before I hooked up my into some models, I hesitated, and I go, I don't know if I'm actually ready to hook this up.
Right.
Something feels like I don't have enough information.
Yeah.
I know there's security issues. I've got to, I'm putting it on a device that's clean. Never been on any of my stuff, not giving access to any of my stuff, but something still doesn't feel quite right. And then I was like, I'm going to wait because I'm still early. And even if I wait a week or two, I was hanging out with my buddy last night. He's loaded his up. He's using it well. And speaking to like the level of programming necessary to make it useful,
mm-hmm.
the average person is nowhere close to thinking about the way this guy's thinking about it. And I go, and I'm so glad I waited because it had me, I go, oh, I need to stop and really consider, just like a human being, when they're first born or even pre-birth, or whatever you're programmed with early on is going to stick the most. And it's going to set the direction of your life in a lot of ways. Now I'm wondering, is the first interaction with this OpenClaw something that I actually need to be really intentional about, right? Yeah. And so it's really interesting. So
I think the answer to that is probably no, because again, like every LLM, for an LLM, every new prompt is brand new. Right? The way they're faking this chat conversation thing is that they're deliberately bringing everything from the past into it every time. And the way that you build this memory of like, it gets to know you over time is that it deliberately records certain things or summarizes whatever, and then brings that into the context every time. So like whatever you initialize your Claude with, like or like OpenClaw or whatever, is still going to be something that you can just like erase or change or whatever, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. But I like the analogy. It's a fun analogy.
I keep on learning new stuff. I'm like, oh, it doesn't quite work the way I thought it worked. Okay.
Yeah. But it's like when NFTs came onto the scene, right? And I can remember the hype cycle there. Like everybody's like, oh my God, NFT is going to take over the world. And now like we're going to trade cars, and like to get into a restaurant, you buy it, like whatever. And like, it's like, no normal person can figure out how to use this stuff. Like no normal person. And like
I think the NFTs will come back in a more useful way, but
I'm sure like the core premise of it, like blockchain recording who owns a like a specific thing on the blockchain. I think that's a really valuable thing. But then again, like that's the problem too, is like, like the number of people that I know who have had their wallets stolen or wiped out with crypto and like all that stuff, there's actually kind of some fail safes in the existing institutions that are kind of nice, that you get from doing it like the other way. And there's also like the whole, like, I don't think the US government is going to run on the blockchain anytime soon, because it makes it really hard to hide your fraud and your covert operations, right?
Let me sign up for transparency, please.
Exactly, right. Not like Not likely.
Add me to the ledger.
But they want your stuff in the blockchain for sure.
The transparency is very clear in one direction.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you speak to the being pulled into a higher level of abstraction? So, when with all the new advancements that are coming, it's like spending less time in the weeds and then spending more time in that area.
Yeah, it's the funnest things for me the funnest part of programming and the hardest part is always figuring out what is the right way to solve this. What is the right level of this abstraction? What is the right view on it? What is the right angle? What's the right lens to look at things through? Like, okay, here's what these people over here are trying to accomplish this. These people over here are trying to accomplish this. There's an overlap. What's the simple kind of cut line way of looking at things that we can do that solves both in a really elegant way without complicating things? I'm like, my company Simplero for a reason, right? Like I want to make things simple. And it's how we can, like, Simplero does so many things and our team is tiny compared to everybody else because of consistently applying this lens to everything. And so that's the fun part for me, is also the hard part of really thinking through and letting it marinate and really like, oh, that's how we're going to do it. And then once I reach that point, most of it is like drudgery. There's still lots of things to figure out in that process, but actually building it and coding all that stuff is kind of boring. So now it lets me actually do what's fun, which is like, here's how to do it. And then I can see when it does it, it's like, okay, no, this smells wrong. Like there's too many lines of code here. Like, or there's too much that feels like duplicated. It feels like, don't we have something already that does something like this that we could probably reuse, or there's a pattern that we can use or something like that, right? And so then I'll give it direction on that. And so that becomes the game. So it's a much higher level of abstraction, but actually sitting there and typing at the keyboard is like, I don't need to do that. Right? I don't have a desire to do that. And it's funny because like my friend David Heinemeier was on Lex Friedman a few months back. He was like this monster 6-hour Lex Friedman episode. I don't know if you guys saw that. DHH. Yeah. But he talked about like how much he loves using AI, but he insists on writing every line of code himself because there's something about that tangibleness of like actually writing it that makes you understand what's happening. And I totally get that, and I subscribed to that until like a week or two ago where I was like, you know what, screw that. Like, because actually it does it very nice and cleanly. You just have to be, again, for me, I'm very particular about how I want it, but then I keep documenting in my agents.md or codingstyle.md or whatever documentation files how I want it. It still doesn't get it right every time, right? It's still going to be like whatever. Like you give it a bunch of context and then like forget, like uses some of it, whatever. There's the whole probabilistic nature, but overall it works freaking great, and it's good enough. It's close enough that there are things that I can now get done that I would have never done before, and yeah, it's just super fun. So
I feel like with the 4.6 release was kind of like feels like maybe there was a tipping point.
Yeah. Yeah, and the 5.2 codex, and I haven't really played too much with 5.3 codex, is great too. I find that goes way more off on a tangent and does stuff that is like weird, where it's just unusable, basically. But sometimes it gets it right.
Common with OpenAI in general,
probably. Yeah, right. But then the way that I do it too is I use a editor called Zed. And it has like this agent thing built in. So like it's on my local computer with my local database, with my local dev environment. And I can like all the code checked out and it'll make the changes right there locally. I can look at it. I can make my own edits easily. And we can work together like that. And that is what allows me to have that level of control. Because when it's like codex and it kind of does it on its own, and then I tell it to do something else, like it's way harder for me to work that way. Here, I can be like, this line changed to this. This piece, this is duplicated. Do that smarter. Like I can be much more surgical in my feedback to it, and that works much better. The downside is now I have one checkout, so now I need to figure out how to set up multiple workspaces and blah blah blah, and that kind of can get a little complicated. I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point, but I haven't gotten there.
Well, I think we could jam more on the CLUD versus the codex, but. Yeah, go ahead, Ted.
Well, I just wanted to touch on something you've said and what I'm hearing with as we have the ability with these models and everything they can do. You've kept reiterating what I want, what I want, what I want. And there's almost a tug of war between where the tangents might go to the North Star in which you're prescribing to. And for anyone who jumps into these tools who don't have a clear direction or clear idea of their intentionality from the start, it's easy for them to get pulled astray. So I'd love to know your process on, I guess, reiterating and leaving your anchor in the ground to make sure that you don't get pulled astray as you're working with these tools.
I love that point, because that's the whole thing that, like, I have been building software for 40 plus years now. So I have a lot of experience, and I have that human judgment, and I have taste. I have taste, discernment, judgment, which is something that an LLM does not have. Right? And it will never have. You can teach it what taste is, but it won't have taste, because that's an emotional thing. And emotions are an embodied thing. So when you don't have a body, you don't have emotions. Right?
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing, because I think that the first time I heard that, and I was maybe a decade ago, from Joe Dispenza, and he was talking about, words are the language of the mind, and emotions are the language of the body.
Yep.
And then when we get into this whole conversation around there's conversations going around the internet right now about AI having emotions, and I'm thinking, how is this possible? Because they don't have a body. Like we think about emotions and what's happening physiologically. This is not. It's not going to have the same level of consciousness, because it's not accessing that one thing. And it blows me away how that's totally disregarded and not talked about. And I think
the reason why
to say something, but I haven't heard John Vervaeke say anything.
Yeah. I think what happens is that most of the people in this world are autistic. So they have a dysfunctional relationship with their emotions, right? They think that that left prefrontal cortex is all that exists about them, and so that's their reality. And so they see that modeled in the LLM and the AI, and they're like, "Oh my god! Like it's sentient. It has consciousness. It has emotions. All these like bullshit, fucking shit."
It doesn't. Very common amongst engineers and coders. They're very much that way. Like that is what makes them so great at what they do. But is also what's the shadow of that? What's the lack of awareness in that one domain, and
crazy shadow.
People that are like building the tools that are shaping the world right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, but that's been the case for forever, right? Like most of the people who are building these tools are autistic, and then like real humans use them, and then the economy does what it does, where it's like, well, like we reward, like that's why Apple was so successful in the iPhone, because Steve understood this, right? Steve was brilliant technologically. He was not that programmer. He was crazy in his own ways, but he understood that Grandma Bledsoe just wants to have like a FaceTime with like her granddaughter, right? Like, and that's what matters. And like, not these like autistic use cases that the autistic programmers come up with, And so I think at the end of the day, like the economy is going to sort this out. But yeah, it's like, you and I, it's like the difference between manipulating symbols and understanding what those symbols represent. It's like in Buddhism, they're like, the finger pointing to the moon is not the moon, right? The word the moon is not the moon. You and I, we understand that when I say moon or I point to the moon, I'm talking about an object in the sky that actually exists out there. The LLM has no such object reality relationship. It doesn't. All it knows is symbols, words that it can manipulate. And it can manipulate it very well, extremely well. Better than humans ever have or can or will be able to, right? Super well, super fast. And that's what's so brilliant. It's like when I get into my Tesla, it can drive a lot freaking faster than I can run. Right? A lot faster than any human can run. Like, same thing. Now it can just think a lot faster than any human can think. And that's extremely valuable, but it doesn't make it human, because it's still like 0.1% of what is a human.
Yeah. Well, how would you encapsulate what it means to be a human?
We are, and that's the whole process of mind debugging, is that who we are is soul, is consciousness, is spirit. That is who we are. This like physical meat suit, my name and my age and my identity and all that stuff, that's the 3D world. That's the illusion. That's not who I am. But we get lost in that illusion thinking that that's reality, right? But it's not. The truth of who we are is like we were never born. We will never die. We're eternal beings. We're connected with everything in the quantum field. And so, yeah. And so we have that soul is like there's an actual energy. There's an actual transmission. There's an actual real tangible, like, or not tangible necessarily, but there's a real energy there that we are, that is unique through all of time. Like Mike Bledsoe, like the energy that is you has never existed before. There's been about 117 billion people on this planet, as far as we know, and none of them were you. Now, like reincarnation and stuff, like maybe you are actually some of those people, but basically that you are is not any of these other ones. And it never will be, right? It's completely, perfectly unique. And what's so fascinating to me is that this 3D reality is it's so engaging, right? It's like you are wearing this VR headset and you're seeing the physical world and all that stuff, and you're just like, oh my God, this seems so damn real, right? It seems so real. But it is an illusion. And so I saw a couple of years ago, I saw some people who had near-death experiences and had really totally realized, experienced this, right? Where they're seeing things from the outside. So I have some gardeners out here that are making noise. I'm sorry. I hope it's not too noisy for you guys.
Yeah.
Huh?
We can hear it, but maybe we can edit it out.
Okay. Yeah. It's like pretty crazy. On Thursdays, sometimes they get, I thought they were gone actually, but now they came back with leaf blowers and like all the things. Yeah, I know. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, so I saw these people talk about their near-death experiences, and they'd like seen the whole thing from all outside, knew what other people were doing, like had awareness of things that they had no way to know, and all of the things. They'd kind of seen the truth of how the world works. And then both of them explain how 3 months later, they kind of forgotten all about it. They're still like caught up in the matrix, right? And they had to meditate or listen to Joe Dispenza or whatever to like remind themselves, oh yeah, right. Like this is an illusion. It's just it just gets us so good every time.
Yeah. So how do you go from coding at the age of 5 and being immersed in the world of software to getting to this place where you're talking about human consciousness and debugging the operating system?
So what I love is that when you apply logic, you arrive at spirituality. That's the cool thing. Like when you actually take logic all the way, you arrive at spirituality. Like, there's no other endpoint. You have to talk yourself into like some convoluted other explanation in order to not do that. And one of my friends he's a former Navy SEAL, and he's also deeply autistic. And he actually gets it. Like he has like in the most autistic fashion ever reasoned his way to God. And it's a beauty to behold. His name is Larry Yatch. I don't know if he's still active on the socials, but he's a great dude. The way I look at life is that we come into this, we choose to incarnate on this planet because there is something that we want to debug. There's a mind bug that we want to experience and then debug, basically. So I come into this world because I want to experience what it feels like to live within the prison that says that I did something wrong, or in the prison that says I'm not enough, or in the prison that says I'm not going to be okay, or whatever that core mind bug is that we come in with. And like there's about 10 and they all apply to all of us, but there's always like a ranking, a hierarchy of them. Like one is the major one that just shows up again and again in your life. And so I believe that we are like, okay, well, let's do a run on this planet Earth. It's kind of a interesting place in many ways, but like, let's do it, right? And to see what it feels like to really live in like, I did something wrong. I did it wrong. And then what we do is we coordinate, right? So we are like, all right, you play the dad and you play the mom, and let's orchestrate it so that you do this and I do that. And then I get, this happens when I'm 11 or when I'm 2 years old or whatever. So we kind of orchestrate all of these life events in a way that actually installs that bug. So a lot of people go to healing work or trauma work or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's because my mom, this is because my dad, this, da, da, da. To me, that's missing the point. Yes, your mom and your dad and whatever they did was like the vehicle, the mechanism by which this mind bug got installed. But the reason why it happened was because you wanted it that way. Your soul wanted it that way. So it could experience what it's like to live a life of, live the lie that you're not enough, and then get to the point where you realize that it's a lie and experience what life feels like on the other side of that. That's the whole game.
That sounds like a much more empowering perspective, because I've definitely watched people go, they become aware of a trauma,
Right.
I like to call them boo-boos. Take the weight off a little bit, and they become aware of it, and now it becomes an excuse.
Right.
So, and I've witnessed really intelligent people who've done a lot of meditation, people who've done a lot of work, and then they get caught in a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I had this happened with a friend maybe a year ago, and it's like normally very good, just life is good, and then watch them get into this pattern. And then he got into like, well, it's because, and he named something in the past. And
right.
I'm looking at him like, that's like, you're taking the victim in this position. You're not owning this experience. You're not owning, that that you were in agreement with that. I mean, that's how I look at it, is the language I use. Like, all right, you agreed to that. As far as like, the backstory on, where that agreement originates, that's beyond anything I know. But I go, look, you're in agreement with it. And if anything you stay inside of means that you're still in agreement with it in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So I like what you're saying, in that it's a much more empowering perspective, in that I chose this and I can choose something differently.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Yeah, I chose this, and yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like every time you think that like anything in your circumstances, like you're a victim of anything in your circumstances, like as long as you're not fully responsible for everything in your circumstances, you're a victim. Right. Mm-hmm. So everything in your circumstance is your responsibility, your ability to respond to it, and yeah, it is. The beautiful thing that happens is that whenever things get tough, whatever it is, like we have some emotional pain, or we're scared, or we're stressed, or we're hurt, or whatever, instead of trying to fix the circumstance, which is what most people do, you just go look for the mind bug. Oh, what must I be believing about myself or my world that I'm feeling this way right now? Oh. And for me, the biggest one was like, I did something wrong, whether it was like, I built my company wrong, I did this wrong, I ate the wrong thing, I divorced, like my divorce was wrong, like whatever. I was doing parenting wrong, I was doing husband wrong, like whatever. I did something wrong. And therefore, either it means I'm bad, right? There's something wrong with me. I'm fundamentally bad in some way, or it means I'm not going to be okay, or both. And like that's like the core pattern that's played out in my life over and over again. And when I really got that none of what I did ever was wrong. Like literally nothing I've ever done was wrong. I just did what I did, and the consequences, what they were what they were. And then I can just deal with consequences. Maybe I don't like some of them. That's fine. There's always going to be circumstances that are not how I want them, how I like them. But how I relate to them, I get to choose that. So, okay, now I have some, like, we can just deal with the logistics of the physics of the circumstance now without this whole judgment. Oh, I did something wrong. I shouldn't have done that, blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Because when you go around thinking that you did something wrong, the next thing that happens, you get scared of, oh, I might do something wrong again in the future. And so now you get scared of acting. of taking action. It's like, oh, what if I fuck it up? And then I'm not going to be okay. I'm going to be bad. Like, no, like the whole wrong is a judgment that happens after the fact. Every moment I did the best that I knew how to do in that moment. And if I could go back, I would do the same thing over again because I'd be the same person. So like really re-choose literally everything you've ever done, realize you never did anything wrong and you can't do anything wrong ever again in the future. You can't fuck it up. Like that's freaking freedom, right? That's freedom.
What does that technical process of debugging look like? Because it's not like we could open up the memory tab in our ChatGPT, erase it. We can't open up a new prompt and start fresh, right? That's the luxury of the model.
And you wouldn't want to, right? Because the fun part is the debugging, the catching of it. Like this is, to me, this is the only thing that matters. This is the purpose of life. The purpose of life is not to amass, fortunes or assets or houses or cars or whatever. Because as they say, like that, the funeral car doesn't have a luggage rack. Like we don't get to take any of the stuff with us anyway. So who cares? The purpose is literally to clear those mind bugs. And it's the process, it's the journey of it as with everything else. It's not the goal. So what does it look like to clear your mind bugs? It looks like seeing the lie clearly, right? You see the pattern super clearly. Oh, I did something wrong again. For me, it was like once I started seeing it, it kind of, I got it and then I kind of forgot again. And then like about a year later, it really started to hit home. One day I was on a trip with my wife and I woke up and then I was like, oh, like I woke up before her and then I went outside and then our dog woke up and she wanted to come out. And then I was like, okay, let me take her out to pee and walk her. But then like, I promised I'd take her for a walk, but now she pees and poops. And she wanted to go back inside. Should I force her to walk? Or should I take her? It's like this whole mind chatter of like, oh shit, I'm so scared of doing it wrong because like, then she's going to be upset that I woke her up or she's going to be upset that I didn't or like, well, like something or like, or then like I would eat a protein bar and it's like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. Now I'm going to get fat. Like, or I should have eaten that. Cause like, and I could just see how this was like, 50 times in a day, this conversation was going about like, oh crap, I did it wrong or I'm scared of doing it wrong.
Not even subconsciously.
Right. Yeah, right. And so once you start to really spot it, you're going to start to see it over and over again. And like that is the process, is seeing it. And then in the moment, catching yourself and being like, oh, that's that lie again. Like, and just not even like going into affirmation of like, I did it right, or I never did anything. Like, you don't need that. You just need to see that it's a lie. And then like the brain takes care of the rest. Cause it's like, you mentioned Joe Dispenza, right? He like, what is it? Neurons that fire together, wire together. So this like, I did it wrong or whatever your version is going to be a 10-lane highway that you've gone down a gazillion times. Now, as you start catching yourself from going down that path, eventually it's going to get overgrown. And instead of forcing it down one particular other path, what you do is you just open it up to all the pathways. And now you have possibility and freedom, right? So that's the game. The other piece that I find helpful is to go back and see, where did this get installed, right? Again, not to put blame, but to see the mechanism, the causality, because what happened is there was some experience that you gave it the meaning that, oh, I did something wrong. Maybe it was that time where one story for me was like when I was a kid, probably like 5, 6 years old, and I had a friend over and we'd found my dad had this like tiny hammer that I loved. It was like this long and it was like smaller than the others. And it was so cool. It was so cute. And so this friend of mine, it had like the square end, right? And then it had like the pointy end. And he and I found that we could hit on the railing on the staircase. We could hit with the sharp end and we make these little marks in the wood. And we thought it was like super fun. Like it was so cool, super fun. And then my dad comes home and let's just say he wasn't loving it as much as we were. So he got real pissed, right? And so maybe that's the moment that I was like, oh shit, I did something wrong, right? Oh, I was just having fun. I was just being expressive, playful. And then boom, like, whoa, crap, I did something wrong. And so I made it about me. I did something wrong. And and therefore my dad's bad, like angry at me, so I'm not going to be okay, or like it means I'm bad that I could do this without thinking that of course that was wrong, or whatever that meaning was. And so it's helpful to see, oh, in that moment, this is what happened. And usually when I ask people like, what's the earliest memory you have of feeling like you did something wrong or that you're not enough or whatever it is, some story comes up and then we can look at it again, not as like, oh, inner child work and all that stuff, which is cool. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but more of just like seeing the mechanism. Oh, this happened. I was making these things, like these marks with the hammer. Dad comes home. He gets really angry. And I can totally see why that's annoying, right? That's frustrating. Because like, you basically can't repair that, right? Like this piece of wood, you can get a new piece of wood. It's a big, long piece of wood. And now it would be a different color and a different shade from the other pieces. It would just look weird. Like there's basically no way to repair this. And so I actually went back to that childhood home a couple of years ago. And the marks are still there. Right. So I totally get it from his perspective. And also maybe he was in a bad mood that day and he was just like annoyed and, whatever. Right. I remember when my son was with a friend one day and they had found this bag of like 6 rolls of toilet paper and they'd taken them out and they've like unwound them all. And it was like with this one big pile on the bed. And like, I was not in a good place that day. And I was staying with my mom. It was like a complicated time in my life. And my mom got really, really scared and angry. And then I got angry at my son and like yelled at him. And like looking back, it was just hilarious and fun. Like it's freaking toilet paper. Who cares? Right. Mm-hmm. But like, maybe that becomes a moment where he gets like, oh shit, I did something wrong. Like now I'm going to be in trouble. And again, that doesn't mean I did something wrong. I served my purpose to install that mind bug in him so he can realize, I happen to know that, so he can realize that that's a mind bug and it's a lie, and he can find the freedom on the other side of that.
So maybe it's a good thing that AI doesn't have emotions, because we would be screwed with some traumatic AI.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. Like it's complicated, right? It's complicated. Like this is what it means to be human, is to have this stuff going on. It's not a flaw. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's what makes us interesting as humans, right? It's what makes us adorable. Nobody loves a perfect hero in a movie, right? Nobody likes a person for whom everything just goes right and he has like a correct answer. Like it's not emotionally interesting to us. So yeah, I think it's great.
Entrepreneur, like I know a lot of entrepreneurs. I've been in the game for 18 years and I've been knocked off the horse. And anyone I know who's, 40 plus and has been in the game most of their life got knocked off the horse at some point.
That's so interesting.
And there's like, and it's not everybody, but it's enough people to where it was a big boo-boo and could take years for somebody to come back,
So can I ask you a question, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been an entrepreneur for maybe twice that. And I've ridden horses a couple times. My grandfather was actually a horse trader, but I've never actually been doing entrepreneurship on a horse. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
So, yeah, I mean, example is merger doesn't go through and all the eggs were in that basket. And then one month you have all the money. The next month you have none of the money and have to lay everybody off. Or someone was counting on funding.
So what I'm hearing you say is something happened that wasn't what I wanted to have happen. And
yeah. So like, I think there's, what I've noticed is a lot of guys and gals that have been in the game for a while, they have some type of experience that makes them skittish
right
about going big again. They were aiming big. They were like, I want to, build something great. And then something doesn't go the way as planned, and then they get skittish about doing anything that's big again.
Right.
How do you run into that with clients, or what's your take on that?
I think it's called being human. And again, it's just a mind bug, right? Like what was the thing? What was the meaning you assigned to it? Because on the level of physics, it's just, I did something, I took an action, this was the outcome I wanted, and this was the outcome that I got. That's just information. That's called life. That happens every single day, right? That's called being an entrepreneur. We try stuff and we hope it's going to do this thing, but it doesn't always. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Like, for me, I don't know, more often than not, it doesn't. And then we do something else and we keep doing it until we get the result that we want. Or we find out like, all right, maybe I do want a different result or whatever, but that's called life, right? That's called being an entrepreneur. So when that happens, yes, it might be on a bigger scale, but there's also what is the meaning you assign to it? Mm-hmm. And what was the meaning for you?
My situation was not as common as what I was thinking about for some other people, because
what was yours?
Yeah, it was more of a walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was more, and then I walked away from, I had a deal go south. The company was salvageable. I stabilized it. And then I realized and before all this went down, I knew that I wanted to exit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought I was going to exit with a check. And then I'm not exiting with much of a check.
Right.
And so but I had done well in crypto. So I took some time off, and I remember I took so much time off, or enough time off, that when I came back, I felt like I had lost some like mojo, or my reputation carried me through a lot. Like I was very well known. I'm still very well networked, but the story was that everybody is aware of that I have shrank in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When logically it's like no one knows.
No, I get it.
I was going through, but
yeah,
it was more.
What did you make it mean about you that this happened? That you did something wrong? That you failed? There's something wrong with you?
Yeah, it was kind of like imposter, like I had gotten more than I deserved in the first place. And this is actually where I belong.
Not worthy. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. So that's the lie.
Yeah.
All right. So notice your language. This deal went south.
Mm-hmm.
Like what else did you say? Like what I'm hearing is that you had a plan and reality had a different plan.
Mm-hmm.
Reality is never wrong. Reality is always right. And the way that I know that is because whenever I argue with reality, I lose.
Yeah.
Every time. So what happened was exactly right. It was what happened. This company, you thought you were gonna get a check. You were wrong about that. Like you weren't supposed to get a check, so you didn't get a check. Great. Now what?
I was divinely redirected.
Exactly.
And
right.
In the moment, it didn't feel like divine redirection.
Yeah. And maybe you had some of your sense of worth tied up in external results.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. There was a lot of, personal value tied to money in a bank account, personal value tied to how many people watched the latest video, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. And that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
That's going to kill you, right? Your worth does not go up or down ever. Your worth is there because you exist. It's always has, it always will be. And anytime we tie sense of worth or being lovable or good enough or anything to our external results, it's a losing freaking proposition. It might work for you in the moment, but then something happens and then it stops working for you.
It works until it doesn't.
Exactly, right?
And I think it takes it not happening. We were talking about, Ted and I were talking about this maybe a week ago or a couple days ago. We were recording. It was like the rock bottom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The rock bottom is when reality catches up to the lie.
Yeah.
And
And so what's beautiful about that is that, you now realize it was based on a lie. And it was always based on a lie, even though it felt good in the moment, but it was always based on a lie. So instead of trying to then like build something new, because build something new that's going to go big, so then I can feel that way again, right? Mm-hmm. That might be what happened to you. And I see this a lot. I actually got an email from this guy, Eric, in San Francisco, like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. I started blogging about some of these topics. And then he was like, he found my blog and he was like, hey, I'm really interested in what you're writing about. I have this company that is doing social mobile gaming, and we just got a buyout offer. Someone wanted to buy the company. I think it had two partners. Someone want to buy the company for $300 million. And I've never been more depressed. Like, what's going on? It's like, this is what I've been working my entire adult life for. This like dream of the exit, having so much money, I don't need to worry about money ever again. And now that it is within reach, I realize that it doesn't make me happy.
Yeah.
But what's worse is now I don't have a strategy for how to become happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like, I'm unhappy, but when I get this check, then I'm going to be happy. Then I'm going to feel worthy. Then I'm going to feel safe. Then I'm going to feel like I'm enough. Then I'm going to feel like I'm lovable, right? Whatever it is for you, then I'm going to feel like I belong. Like, and then you get the check, or you're so close that you almost got it. And then you realize, oh my God, crap. Like, I still feel like I don't belong. I still feel like I'm not wanted. I still feel like I'm not enough. I'm not worthy.
Yeah. When I was, a decade ago, when I was at the peak of financial success and notoriety and all these things, I was fairly miserable.
Yeah.
It was like, I had to like 10x whatever it is I was experiencing in the moment. That was the constant mulling over every day was, how do we 10x? How do we 10x?
Yeah.
And a lot of comparison to other people in the market. And it was a fascinating time.
Yeah. And so the beauty of where you're at is to recognize, the invitation is to see, what if the big shift that every entrepreneur is invited to go through is to go from creating from scarcity or a lack to creating from wholeness. So instead of trying to make money or build a business or all that stuff, because then I will feel whole, then I'll feel like I'm enough, I'm worthy, I'm safe, I'm wanted, I belong, like whatever. Give yourself that today, because that's the only way that you will ever get those things, because those things are who you already are. Mm-hmm. It's a big part of my whole Recode philosophy is everything you're looking for is who you already are. You're looking for abundance. Abundance is who you are. You're looking for love. Love is who you are. You're looking for freedom. Freedom is who you are. You're looking for power. Power is who you are. It's your inherent nature at a soul level. But at the personality level, you think it's outside of you and it's contingent on circumstances, other people, money, whatever. That's the fundamental lie. And so when we give ourselves all these things today and we're grounded in that practice and remembering who we are, not this, but the soul, from that place, what do I want to do there? And now it becomes fun, right? Now it becomes like my son playing with Lego, or like we just make stuff because it's fun. We enjoy it. Or like, what if I could build this up to this, or build this up to that? Or I could do this for these people, or like money becomes a tool for something else rather than a goal, a measure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. After I had that experience, there was a lot of soul searching and spent some time. And I remember returning back to business and having like zero care about that. I created a product that I loved. I just thought these people would love it. No plan for it to perform in any way. I presented it, and the business didn't make the most money ever, but I actually profited the most I had ever profited.
Amazing.
And the first year, because the the thing that I was chasing previously was status.
Mm-hmm.
Was I want a company that makes this much money.
Yeah.
And I didn't care about the profit so much because when you walk into a room of entrepreneurs, people talk about what their company did, not what they profited.
Yeah.
And so I stopped caring so much about that. And then it was like there was so much ease in that.
Yeah.
But I won't go any further into that story because then there was like another lull in there, and there's a return back to some other things. But it's to your point. Like I think a lot of times what I hear people say is, if I give up this ambitious drive and if I stop and I debug, am I going to lose the thing that made me successful?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really common fear. And I think that's one of the things it's a major thing that holds the pattern in place.
Exactly. And the lie there is define success. Right? Because if you have a ton of money, but you're miserable, is that success in any way, shape, or form? Like, why? Right?
I wanted to touch on
there's so many people who have a lot of money and are miserable. Like Kazim, our common friend, his dad sells rugs, and he told me about as a teenager, he'd help his dad deliver rugs to these houses around Scottsdale. Super rich people sitting in their mansions, and like every single time there'd be some dude sitting in front of the TV bored out of his freaking mind all along. And he's like, what the is the point of having all this money if that's your reality, right? Like, yeah. So I just want to tie an end on this and just say, like, Mike, I want you to get what a freaking miracle you are. And not for any of the Bitcoin or the crypto or the company or the successes or the losses or failures or whatever, or any of that stuff. But you existing on this planet at this freaking moment and now being with you for like an hour here, I can see the depth and the love and the kindness and the generosity and the intelligence, the smarts, like all of that. Like, I think at the end of the day, like, just recognizing how incredible you are and what a freaking miracle you are is like, that's it. That's it. And then everything flows from that.
Yeah.
Hey,
thank you.
I didn't get none of that. No.
I'm talking to everybody through Mike.
Yeah. But Calvin, I did want to bring it back with simplicity, right? Because we've talked a lot about the lie. But when we work in the truth and we have that clear vision, how does simplicity open up that abundance? How does, like you name the company Simplero, for anybody who gets rid of the lie of I'm not enough, the I'm not worthy, and they start working with that clear definition of success, how does that open up more of what they're actually looking for? I'm not talking about abundance as just money in the bank account, but just more of what they're actually looking for.
The short answer is truth is always the answer. Like, so to me, like, simplicity and truth are very closely linked, because simplicity happens when you look at through a lens that gives you a very clear, accurate picture of reality. Then that's truth, and it's also where simplicity comes from. And so complexity and complication comes from being unclear. Like, usually there's like, we're scared, there's something we're afraid of, and whether it's like afraid of something happening that we haven't really clarified. Like, most fears are kind of unconscious, right? So we're not, usually when we get really specific about the fear, it kind of goes away. But it grows when it can stay unconscious. And so most of the complication comes from trying to cover over something that we're scared about, or something where we're not willing to see the truth. It's something that's come up too with like, Scott Adams has talked about this, Elon Musk as well, of like, well, society would collapse if we had AI that actually spoke the truth. Like, we would stop functioning as a society. Because this whole society is based on the public buying into a bunch of lies. That's the only way this works. And so that's where complexity, like complication comes from. But when you commit yourself to truth and just being willing to see the truth and being searching out the truth, then simplicity is the byproduct of that.
Got you back.
Yeah,
we lost you for a second.
I've had those moments of clarity where it's like I'm trying to solve some problem and it's this big deal, and then I have this moment of clarity and I go, oh, it's just right in front of me. Just
right.
Like, how often is the answer love?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I saw that it was love, and then 20 minutes later, I'm down this rabbit hole. Oh, we have this problem. It's like, oh, wait. Moment of clarity again. Oh, we're back to love again. Yeah.
Exactly. The answer is always simple, right? So you said like abundance, but it's, again, abundance is not in any circumstance. It's a state of being. It's a feeling to be in an abundant state. And when you live your life from a state of abundance, then the outward abundance kind of naturally appears. Same thing with love, with freedom, with like whatever it is, you embody it, you be it now, and then reality starts to align around that.
You mentioned at the beginning of the show there was a list of 10 things. Was it 10 common lies, or what was it?
Yeah, the 10 mind bugs. Yeah,
10 mind bugs.
Yeah,
mind mentioning those.
Yeah, I don't know that I can memorize all of them, but we've talked about pretty much all of them. So like, I'm not enough is one. I'm bad in some way. I don't have enough, like scarcity. I did something wrong. I'm not going to be okay. It's like future based. I'm not wanted. I don't belong. And like, I guess 3 more I've like memorized, like literally all. And then you can also, you can kind of slice and dice a little bit, but like, that's kind of those are the core lies that everything comes down to. Right. And they're really just kind of like these stories that separate us from ourselves. Is like when we fall in love with another person, right? That like romantic love relationship. The most common thing that people say is like, you complete me. I finally feel whole, right? I finally found like my counterpart. And it's complete bullshit. Like, yeah.
Codependence to me.
What's that?
Sounds like codependence to me.
Exactly. Yeah. And the feeling is legit, but what happens is that you are already complete and whole. You just disowned a part of yourself that you're like, oh, this part of me is bad. Now, when I'm with you, I get access to the parts of me that I disowned. And so therefore I feel whole. But then of course, like we all know 6 months in or whatever, we start to like get annoyed with all the things. And then we're like, oh, you're just like my mom. You're just like that. That's not by accident. It's not by accident. Because like, that's what makes us fall in love with this person. But it's like the same thing is true. Like we keep thinking that we are looking for something in external circumstance to feel good, but it's always, always, always inside, and it's always in who we are as a soul. So if you think about it, like who you are is soul awareness. That is you. You are not your name, your age, your profession, your body, your any of those things, your relationship, any of that stuff. None of that is you. You is soul. Eternal, forever, indestructible, limitless, boundless, timeless. That is you. Now, we get stuck in the 3D world, in the matrix. What keeps us stuck is the mind bugs. Those are the anchors that keep us stuck here. Oh, I'm not enough, so therefore I need to study more, make more, do more, serve more, please more, whatever, so I can feel like I'm enough. Oh, I'm not safe, therefore I need more money and more blah, 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 so I can feel safe. Oh, I don't belong, therefore I need to, whatever. Belong was a big one for me too. I grew up in Denmark, and like I kid you not, I studied American culture so bad because I wanted to belong here. Like I moved to America when I was 25 and I just loved it here. And so I was like, I would religiously watch The Daily Show every single episode on BitTorrent while living in Copenhagen. And every time there was some like cultural reference to like basketball or some person, celebrity that I didn't know about, I would pause and I'd look it up to understand what this meant. Like I wanted to belong. Right. And so like, And I thought that was on the other side of like these things. No, it's not. Like belonging is an inside job. Everything is an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious when it comes to your identity changing your name, how numerology played into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fascinating story. Mike, did you see that too? The whole
I did see that. I saw many things that we're definitely don't have time for, but yeah. I am definitely curious about this one. Yeah. We'd be here for 3 or 4 hours if we're going to scratch every itch I had.
Well, it's a fun one. So I don't, the short answer, I have no idea how this stuff works. What I can say is like, is numerology has worked for me. It's not something that I go around prescribing for people. It has worked for me. I got someone was like, given your name and your birthday, like this is what your life is like. And it was kind of miserable. And it was kind of how my life was. And then here's what we could do if we picked a different name. And then like, I was like, that sounds a lot better and is a lot more like my life today. So it seems to have worked for me. I don't know. For me, like I'm into astrology and numerology and all the things. I'm like, why the hell would these things not be real? Like my logical mind's like, why wouldn't they be real? Like we know that the moon impacts people's emotions like fucking crazy. Like more people go to the emergency room around the full moon than other times. Like we know that the celestial bodies impact us all. Why wouldn't there be numbers and math? And like, why wouldn't that also have an impact on some level? Sure. But I can't explain how exactly. But one thing that I know for sure is that changing your name is a massive identity mindfuck.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, oh, I now go, if I can change my name, what else can I change? And I think the truth is you can change anything you want. Every moment is brand new, and we can choose who we are every moment, every day that we wake up. Like, who do I want to be today? I don't need to be the same I was yesterday. We tend to be patterns. This is one of the things Joe Dispenza talks a lot about as well, right? Your personality is your personal whatever, like, I forgot how he says it, but your habits become your personality. They're just habits. They're just habits of thoughts, habits of behavior that becomes who you are.
Yeah, I've known a number of people that change their names, and I've always liked mine, so I've never got into it. But I definitely, I've spent some time studying language and identity and how these things are shaping our behavior. And the idea of changing your name sounds incredibly powerful to me. And that there's a way of letting go pieces. Also, I've also learned that when someone learns a second language, that sometimes they'll have a different personality associated with
1,000%
that language, right? So I'm
absolutely.
Spanish, I'm coming across differently. Someone who may not be very confident in English is now really confident in Spanish or whatever it is. And so, the name that the sound that you respond to I can only imagine that it's you have the opportunity to create something new. It's kind of like I've moved to new cities 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in my life.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to be able to reinvent yourself. The people around you aren't remembering you from 5 years ago, and they really just accept you for how you're presenting right now. And they're not bringing up the past and unconsciously, not on purpose, but there's just something like a name change or moving a city sound like that all sounds like a really powerful way of creating a new reality for yourself. Kind of like it's a hack in a way.
It's a great hack. Yeah. And I've done the same thing, like even like moving schools between 7th and 8th grade and then moving high schools and stuff. Like there's a deliberate reinvention that happened. Like I wanted to shed my old personality. That wasn't why I moved, but as the move happened, it was a conscious process for me. And it really works. And it's super powerful. It's like the energy that other people project onto us, right? Family members or friends or whatever that know you in a certain way is going to help kind of keep you stuck there. It doesn't mean that you can't overcome that, but it's easier to, when you remove yourself, to just become a new person and reinvent yourself. And when you think about it too, like words, mind bugs are words, and words are sound, right? Words are sound. Sound is vibration. Vibration is math. It's numbers. So like, it's all just vibration and frequency, which comes down to math and numbers. Like that's all that this is. The entire universe is made up of frequency and vibration. Everything, right? The physical objects that we have around us are also just atoms that are vibrating at a certain frequency. And like, if they're vibrating at a slow enough frequency, we think of them as matter. And if they vibrate at a high enough frequency, they're light, or they're just like the quantum soup or whatever. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I want to go back to the astrology thing. I agree with you on that. There's it's like when and where you were born and where things were placed in the universe has to have some type of effect on you. Where I get where I become skeptical is someone else telling me what that meant. Well, because you were born here, I know that. I'm like, that seems like a very. And then people go, well, it was channeled, and I go, I personally, well, I'm going to verify this channel.
Yeah, good luck.
And it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, so, but it's kind of fascinating too when you think about it.
How do you think about that?
The way I think about it is, I totally believe in channeling. First, I think it's
I've
like
been witness to it. It's I've actually done it. I've had moments of channel. Like it's
that's just
very
real.
obvious, and it's obvious to everybody in the room what's happening. It's not no one channels, and someone in the room's like, nah.
And it's like not being open to channeling is really limiting yourself in a completely irrational, dramatic way. If you think about it, like traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, like, acupuncture and stuff like that, and the Indian Ayurveda wasn't like a rigorous science thing. It was something that's channeled, basically. And channel just means like we learn through intuition. We intuit it. Like, to me, that's like a way higher bandwidth, channel, like network connection than this piece, right? Again, coming back to the whole AI conversation, where AI is this on steroids, but who we are is like way beyond that. But we insist on like living our life from this tiny spot when this is who we are. And so, yeah, for sure. Like to me, it's like, does it resonate? Does it give me something? If it feels like it's restricting, or like, oh, now I have to be this way, like, screw it. If it feels like, oh, that points to something that I may have disowned, but then when I actually tap into it, I'm like, oh, there's some life there. There's some energy there. There's some fire there. Like, yeah, hell yeah. I'm going to lean into that. Like human design and gene keys, for example, right, is all like based on when and where you're born. And then it gives this whole map and this whole stuff. And I found a ton of value in that. I don't take it as gospel, right? But I'll use it as a tool to see, hey, like, is there wisdom here? And actually, so this is why I built my AI tool. It's called Simplero.coach, and it's free for anybody to sign up and use. It was because like I started using ChatGPT for these things, and then I give it my gene keys and some human design readings and and be like, hey, what does this say about like how to build my brand or how to position myself, or like what is the core transformation I deliver to people, and like help me, can I get some insights from this? And I did that, and it was really powerful, and it got to know me better and better. And then I realized one day what happened for me, it was like I wanted to share one of those conversations with someone else. And I was on the team account, and it turns out you can't share conversations from a team account with anyone who's not on that team. And then I was like, that's stupid. And so I was like, let me.
Like, I don't want a team account anymore.
No, team accounts are dumb. And so then I was like, exactly. So then I was like, let me just move this to a personal account. Turns out you can't just take all the knowledge. So then I was like, let me build my own tool that does this, where that learning happens in my tool, but I can use not just ChatGPT, but also Grok and Gemini and Opus and like Claude or whatever, all the others. And so that's what I built. But then also make it really easy to loop in these sources. You upload a video, we'll grab the transcript. You'll put in the YouTube URL, we'll grab the transcript. You put in a PDF, we'll extract the info, whatever. So now I can just be like, all right, given this situation, so we do that. So the way Simplero works too is if you're taking a course that's on Simplero, Simplero is like a course coaching business platform. So you're taking a course that's on Simplero. Now you can use the transcript from that course in the context of what Simplero coach already knows about you. So I was going through a branding course the other day and it had some really good insights.
I like that a lot. That's really cool.
It's so cool.
I built some like coaching GPTs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like there's like a layer of context that you're building in that's
which is so cool. Yeah. So I was going through this course on some personal branding stuff, which I loved. And then I was like, actually, and I was reading some gene keys of nice. I was like, what is actually, given the gene keys, the activation sequence, the pro sequence, like, what would that say about like, what is the core essence of my brand here? And then how would that relate to what's in this course? And it gave me something that was like, oh my God, that's freaking great. That's so awesome. That's so clear. And it brought it back to simplicity without me feeding that into it. So I was like, this is cool. And so, yeah, it's like, if it resonates, if it works for me, then I'll use it. And if I'm like, I don't know, then I won't.
So bringing this full circle, and I'll let you jump in right after it, Mike. What I'm gathering from this entire call is the amazing power that we have at our fingertips, which is only an extension of a small, minute part of our brain, where the more agency and the more we debug ourselves, the more we get to utilize and deploy these tools in the most effective way to enhance our lives.
Yeah. Yes. Use it as the greatest tool ever freaking invented, for that task. I like my car, right? It can do great. I like the AI. It can help me think through things. And it's such a great, I love that it's a thought partner that you can't get anywhere else. Right? I can hire a coach, but my coach is not going to be there 24/7. I can hire great team members, but my team member is not going to be there 24/7. I don't have access to the same level of skills and like all this stuff. It's just an amazing tool to really unlock, creative output and joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you seen some of the Gene Keys recordings on Spotify? Like,
no, I haven't.
Oh, dude. So.
That sounds fun.
I hopefully I'm not getting this wrong, but I think it was Human Experience teamed up, and there's some gene key readings. I've been known to do some psychedelics here and there, and I like to throw on one of these gene key recordings and for people who don't know, you can go through the Gene Keys book and there'll be different chapters. There might be something on forgiveness or something like that. And so if you're working on it, then you can go and select whatever it is that you're working on. And then I find that priming with the Gene Keys reading along with the music is really powerful. So I was thinking about if you're using Gene Keys and in any type of coaching, and then you can just say, hey, check out this track.
Mm-hmm.
This is lining up for where you are right now. Here's the track. I mean, music is is magic.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to run a program, put it to a beat and put some frequency in there.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I love that. That's super fun. I'm going to check that out. Huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Just search around for Gene Keys. I'm sure you'll bump into it.
Yeah. All right. That's so cool. Yeah. For me, music issues too. That was my first career choice. I wanted to be a jazz pianist, and then I got into singing and songwriting and all that stuff. So that's still a big passion of mine. And I love it because like you can hit some notes, you can hit emotionally in a way that you can't with just talking.
Mm-hmm. Calvin, how can the viewers, the followers find you, connect with you, check out Simplero and all the amazing work you're doing?
Easiest place, go to my Instagram. Instagram.com/ my full name, Calvin Corelli, and follow me there, hit me up, tell me that you found me on the Full Stack podcast and tell me what resonated. And I love hearing from people that have heard me on the podcast. That's the main place, Simplero.com for the software, but hit me up first.
And one last question. What are you most excited about in the current space that we're in with technology, AI, and what's coming down the pipeline?
I really feel like this unlocks our ability to be even more human.
Mm.
Once we get out of the false notion that like our ability to think and reason is like what makes us human, there's so much power there, man. There's so much creativity. I'm all into like creative output, like making stuff. I think that's the essence of who you are, right? Like, from making babies to making Lego towers to making things. Like that's to writing poetry or whatever. Like creating is who we are. Let's go create some shit. That's fun.
I love it. Fantastic. Well, this has been an honor. Appreciate you being on the show. Founder of Simplero and a mind debugger who identifies the unconscious software bugs that cause high-performing founders to fragment, burnout, and self-sabotage. You mind if I recap some of the things we talked about today?
I love to hear that.
Well, what makes us uniquely human? We're going to finish off where we started, right? But taste, discernment, judgment, that is what separates you from those AI models that you're using. Probably what you use to find this show, which we appreciate. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Do you trust the AI to solve its own problems? And what is the right way to solve this? Abstraction, separating from the weeds and seeing the big picture. Knowing the symbols versus knowing what the symbols mean. Sure, we can point to the moon, we can say moon, but we know exactly what that symbol or what that word is actually referring to. The AI models do not. And when you apply logic, you arrive at spirituality. We are soul, consciousness, we are spirit. Nothing I ever did was wrong, and you just need to see the lie. And you need to see it clearly, and trust me, it's going to have to slap you in the face a few times. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And then what was the meaning that you assigned to it? That disappointment, that failure, that setback, maybe it's the meaning that you assigned to it that it made it hurt so much. And reality is never wrong. Creating from wholeness defines success. Simplicity and truth are closely linked. And if you could change your name, what else can you change? And finally, creating. Creating is human. So go out there and be human. Guys, thank you, Calvin. That's Mike. I'm Ted. Thank you for checking out the Full Stack Podcast. Don't forget to check out our school community. Of course, you can get more conversations and, of course, go deeper there as well. That's us for now. We'll catch you next time.